Now, I want to say thank you for coming to my Monday night Q&A. I truly believe in this trust because it can help save thousands of dollars for this. So I'm going to switch over to my presentation. It's not my email. You don't want to see that. Let me do the slideshow. So welcome to my presentation about the business and the beneficial spendthrift trust. Real quick, 97% of the trusts in the United States are only designed to avoid going through probate. I don't know why it's such an incredibly high number. My mom and dad had that, and what Susie Orman talks about on public PBS television, that's all it's talking about. This is not your mom and dad's trust. This trust is legal, it's patented, and it's in the IRS tax code. Tax code 643B, like Bravo, and it does come from England way back when King Henry VIII wanted to divorce his wives instead of chopping off their heads. He started the Church of England, and then the lords and ladies of England went back to the Magna Carta. So this is contract law, comes from England. Before we had IRS tax code, the IRS tax code only started in 1913. The law firm I work on behalf of, they do have a trust that is going to turn 350 years old this year. Now, overall, the umbrella is a Spendthrift Trust, but I do break it up into two different trusts. Most of my clients either need the business trust for 1099 income, or they need the beneficial trust for investment income. I do have both trusts. I run 3 businesses through my business trust, and I'm also a real estate and crypto investor. So I do have both trusts, but the majority of my clients, only about 6 of us who have both trusts. Now, this is not your mom and dad's trust that avoids probate. Both the business trust and the beneficial trust are going to save federal taxes. That's always so important. It's going to keep your information 100% private. And then it's also going to keep you from paying any judgments if you get sued. I can't stop you from being sued, but I've had at least 6 clients that I know of now who have been subject to a lawsuit. The only thing they did was send the first page of the trust back to the attorney, and that lawsuit has disappeared because the old adage, you own nothing but control everything. Now, the trust is, like I said, is legal, it's patented, and it is in the IRS tax code 643B, like Bravo. I don't ever want to be a CPA. I'm dyslexic and I transpose numbers, but most CPAs, while they're in school and while they're working out in the workforce world, they're only working in the 300 and 400 level. This is very specialized information in 643B, and very few people are trust attorneys. The law firm I work on behalf, it's a private law firm, and they have 3 trust attorneys who, once you become a client, you're a private client of theirs. You can set appointments with them. I don't know how much it would cost to have an appointment with them if you need to do that. Now, both the business trust and the beneficial trust, the full name for it is Irrevocable, Complex, Discretionary, Non-Grantor, Spendthrift Trust. Irrevocable goes from generation to generation. The Rockefellers who have this trust, their trust is 7 generations old. It has about almost 400 people in the trust, all under the same EIN number. Each person has their own silo, so they don't know what the other person's doing, but these trusts can be very, very big. Complex, this means it can hold money from day to day, week to week, year to year, decade to decade. When I finished doing my dad's 2022 taxes, his revocable trust is disappearing, and all the money in the trust has to be dispersed between my 2 brothers and I. Discretionary, this means that the whoever is the trustee or trustees can make the rules for beneficiaries. One of my clients, husband and wife, are trustees. They have 5 apartment buildings in Los Angeles. Their daughter is unfortunately on drugs and alcohol. For her to live in one of the apartments rent-free, she has to pass 4 random drug tests a month. She sued her mom and dad, took them to court. The judge looked at the trust. He said, you have a decision to make. Either pass the 4 random drug tests and continue living rent-free, or move out and start paying rent. By the way, she had to pay for her parents' legal fees because she lost a court case. I do not want to be a fly at their Thanksgiving dinner. That must be ugly. Non-grantor. This makes the trust 100% private. When you sign up for the trust, you are going to have somebody who is not a beneficiary and not somebody you invest with sign the paperwork to sign up and sign away for the trust. When I did both my business and beneficial trust at the same time, I used a family friend, Roy. He knew me before I was born. He was 87 years old. I took him to lunch. It was not a good decision. Roy had arthritis of his hands. He had to sign his name 17 times, and we laughed about it. You do need whoever is the non-grantor, you do need their social security number. And if this is it's not difficult to do. I just was the non-grantor for a client on Friday. Only problem was he caught me while I was out of the house and he asked me for my zip code, and God help me, I could not remember my zip code because I don't write letters to myself. But I can do this for you, or a representative from a law firm, free of charge. It's not a difficult thing to do. Spendthrift. It has gone in front of the Supreme Court twice. Both times the Supreme Court has favored with the Spendthrift Trust, it can enter any contract and do any business on its own. So again, being legal, patented in the IRS Tax Code, it also has been passed by the Supreme Court twice. Now the business trust. This is for 1099 income individuals. I don't care what you're doing. Maybe you're an affiliate marketer. Maybe you're a car salesman, a real estate agent. My life insurance policy goes through, I sell life insurance, goes through the business trust. Brick and mortar stores. I have a gentleman with a pizza shop. Online marketing, affiliate marketing, MLM marketing. Yes, I can say that 2 times fast. When you have the business spendthrift trust, you're going to save 70% of your federal taxes. Unfortunately, you'll be responsible for 30%, but still saving 70% and save you thousands and thousands of dollars. The beneficial trust is for any investor. I don't care if you're a passive investor, a real estate investor, a crypto investor. I'm working with a group of crypto miners from Microsoft who have over $600,000 in profits they don't want to pay capital gains on. That's going to work. Stock market, Forex, anything like that. So this is how much you're going to save. And when I have parentheses between 10 to 37%, there are 7 different tax brackets. I don't know what your tax bracket is. You'll have to ask your CPA. Whatever your tax bracket is, that is what you're going to save year after year after year. So short-term gains, short-term capital gains, a year or less. If you're doing auction houses, fix and flips, wholesaling houses. Long-term is selling anything. I purposely am working with business brokers because when you sell a business, you're going to save either 15% or 20%. I can't tell you which one. I'm not the CPA, but I just helped a 69-year-old gentleman sell his 42-year-old family restaurant back on March 15th. We know he's either going to save $460,000 or $600,000 in capital gains. Also, because he sold the restaurant March 15th, he's going to wait more than a full year because he wouldn't have to pay those capital gains until April 15th, 2024. His business broker wasn't aware of this, and neither was Jim or his wife, Ellen. When they found out how much they were going to save in capital gains, the joke was that they were going to go, the guy who does My Lottery Dream Home, buy a 2-bedroom condo in Florida. Marcy, you have a question?
Yeah, what I don't understand, Sally, is you've got short-term 23.8%, long-term 15 to 20%. What is the difference between that and the 1, 2, 3, the other 4 things that are in parentheses? Just explain it to me. I mean, I have a financial background, but I don't know what other people mean by what they write. So
correct. So short-term capital gains, a year or less, or long-term capital gains, a year or more.
Right.
And then
but you're saying short-term 23.8%. Are you saying that's what the rate is today on a short-term capital gain? Is that what you're saying?
Correct.
Okay. And long-term capital gains today in 2023 is either 15 or 20%.
Correct, correct.
Okay.
There
Now-
is, sorry, go ahead.
Now, interest income, you're saying 10 to 30%. What does that mean?
Whatever your tax bracket is. I have notes. So if my tax bracket's 24%, I'm going to save 24% interest income. I get paid. I only have the paper on the house. I'm the mortgage. People pay me. If I'm at 24%, that's how much I'm going to save every year. Most of my clients are between 24%, 27%, or 29%. Again, they're calling their CPAs to find this out, or they'll find it on their taxes and things like that. I
So
can't
in
tell
other
you
words,
that.
So you're saying, let's say the interest income, wherever you fit into those two brackets, between 10 and 37%, and that's your income bracket, right?
Correct. Correct.
Okay, and whatever you, let's say my income bracket is 27%.
Correct.
You're saying that on interest income that I'd earn, I would save 27%.
Correct.
If that's my income bracket.
Correct.
Oh, okay. I mean, it just wasn't clear. I've seen these numbers that you've posted before, but it just wasn't clear to me, but now it is clear to me.
Excellent. Now, for some bad news, there is passed legislation back in November of 2021. Two humongous bills went through Congress. One was a transportation bill and one was another bill. In the bill that got passed, they can raise short-term capital gains up to 40% for people making more than $300,000 a year. It has not gone into law yet. It has not gone into practice yet, but that's coming down the pike. Personally, I'm not making $300,000 just yet, but with real estate and things like that, I could be sometime soon. That's a lot of money. Unfortunately, it's a lot of money. And then the only one that's a little bit less is for royalties. That's 7 different layers, 7 different tax brackets between 10% and 35%. So again, whatever your personal tax bracket is, that's what you save every year after year after year. After year.
Okay. Got
Any
it.
other questions?
Thank you. Not yet.
Okay. Now, I love the statement. This is IRS Tax Tip 200329. This is the definition that the IRS uses. Capital gains and losses. Almost everything you own and use for personal purpose, pleasure, or investment is a capital asset. That is as broad can be. One of the things I work with is with senior citizens who are transitioning from their home into like long-term care. We're finding records, we're finding baseball cards, things like this. And for people to help sell that, they will have to pay capital gains on that. That's long-term, because if some child did this back in the 60s, it could be quite a bit of money. Now, as a real estate investor, that's where my background is. Real estate investors are going to save on capital gains when you sell a property. They're going to save on interest income, depending on what you're doing. I have a gentleman who does the BRRRR strategy. It's buy, rehab, refinance, repeat. I'm forgetting one of the R's. We saved him. Has 85 houses in Texas. He was paying $153,000 every year on his 85 houses for interest income. That's what he got to save because he got the trust. Rent rolls. A lot of people will take depreciation and might not have any rent roll, depreciation against their profits. It might not be anything, but you might be doing arbitrage, Airbnb arbitrage. You cannot take the rent rolls. Now, one question I do want to bring up, people say, well, you can do a 1031 exchange. Yes, a 1031 exchange kicks the can down the street. You can keep deferring those capital gains, but as soon as you stop deferring those capital gains, from one property to another property to another property, then you're going to have to pay for it. I have heard some horror stories where somebody, let's say a parent was doing this, the children are not real estate investors, and all of a sudden the second generation or the third generation gets the tax bill for the capital gains that got deferred for so long. Also, with a 1031 exchange, besides the crazy timeline, 45 days to find a third party, 160 days to find the property. Also with 1031 exchange, it's like property for like property. So raw land for raw land, single family home, multifamily home, multifamily home. I have clients, what one group of my client, husband and wife, he's 79, she's 78. They are getting they put their 7 properties, they got the trust, they sold their 7 properties, and they put the money into a REIT. They sent me a picture April 1st. They're in Florida, but they are out in their back porch, the lanai, and they have mimosas saying they just made 12% on all the money that they saved in their REIT. That's what they're living on. Now, personally, for me, how I found out about this, in my real estate group, there's a gentleman named Garrett Gunderson. He wrote a book called What the Rockefellers Do. It's all about the Rockefellers Trust. They call it The Office. And he's an instructor in the group. The new title is What Billionaires Do. And if anyone wants a copy of the book, I have a PDF copy. Just put your email into chat and I will send that out to you. But back in July of 2020, I took down the deal of the week. It was a bank-owned reverse mortgage. The woman had died 3 years earlier. The bank was selling it for $20,000 and it was going to go to auction for $50,000. Yay, Sally, I'm making $30,000 spread in between. Unfortunately, it's the middle of COVID. I had to wait 13 months to actually for it to open up to go to auction. Those 13 months, I went back to what the Rockefellers do and started researching through it. And I'm a curious person and started Googling it. I found the law firm that offers this trust. It is the patented trust. There are other trusts out there that are not patented. You know, if I'm going to spend this kind of money, I want the patent. I became a client of theirs. And then I said, I'm in a real estate group. At the time, I was in a real estate group out in Phoenix, Arizona, about 600 investors. I wanted to start selling it. So I filled out the application to sell this trust. And I started teaching a mastermind in my real estate group for 18 months. Every Thursday night, 6 o'clock, doing a real estate group. Unfortunately, just give you a quick heads up on this. The gentleman who ran the real estate group, he was my mentor, he was my friend, and he was my business partner. On January 12th, he lied about something. I sent him a simple text saying, what about our agreement? On January 13th, we got on a Zoom, and I'm going to be honest, I think he's a narcissist because he said I called him a liar, a thief, everything else. I'm like, no, I just asked what happened to our agreement, and he took away my mastermind. So my cash cow disappeared. So in February of 2022, I started my new company, thetrustisyou.com. Is the best thing I ever could do. So I have to say thank you, Zach, for being such a jerk. So my Rocky Mount, North Carolina property, bought it in July. It went to auction August 28th, 2021. Instead of $50,000, it went up to $64,000, and I saved $10,500 on that deal. The other deal, that Memphis property, that was a note that we were 17 hours away from. We did cash for keys, we did everything else. We were 17 hours away from the sheriff kicking them out of the property. They got to live for another 27 months rent-free, which really irked me, but that's the law. So that's why in 2021, I was able to sell that, you know, not that much. The note was bought for $15,400, sold it for $31,000. Again, I got to save $3,712 on that. I moved to North Carolina because they have a very strange rule here called upset bids. When a house goes to foreclosure or tax deeds and it gets called on the courthouse steps, almost every other state, if you win that bid, you have to pay off that house that day and it's your house. Not in North Carolina. There are 101 counties in North Carolina. In each county, it's 10 days, either 10 business days or 10 calendar days. You have to go in person to the courthouse and pay by certified check or a money order to upset the bid by $750. I won 8 of these deals in 2022 and ran them all through the trust and got to save over $32,000 in capital gains. I'm not trying to crow, but this is why I want to teach this trust. Crypto, I do stake $1,000 a month on Persistence Coin. It pays me 30% rate of return per year, which is pretty decent. I have some of this every month now. I've got some of this coming back, and I have a crypto bot. The CryptoBot does Ethereum versus Bitcoin. Every time it changes, I make some money on that. Again, I'm saving the capital gains on that. I started my crypto investing after I had the trust, so my Coinbase account is in the trust already. Those who already have a crypto account will just have to get wherever they have their wallet, have them fill out the paperwork to change it over. Sometimes I'm hearing it's taking up to 6 to 9 weeks to do that. Again, to save capital gains, it could be quite a bit. True story on this, my instructor for my crypto class, he got involved with Bitcoin quite early. He sold 4 coins. He bought a house in New Jersey with an in-ground pool. His kids were 5 and 7 years old. He bought the house in June. His kids loved the pool, spent the entire summer in the pool. And then in April of the next year, he had to sit them down at the kitchen table and tell them they had to sell the house because he had to pay capital gains. His 7-year-old turned to Paul and said, "Why do you hate me, Daddy?" He said it was the worst conversation he ever had. I've spoken to his crypto group 3 times now. Now, dividend income with the stock markets. Again, you're going to take all your losses out and it's all on your profits. One thing that I do have to warn people about, if anyone is a Forex investor, I have quite a few Forex investors, they get taxed twice: interest income and short-term capital gains on any profits. I don't want to say I'm famous on TikTok. I've got 13.2 thousand followers. The majority of my followers are Forex investors because they don't like being taxed twice. Now with royalties, this is something interesting that most people do not understand. Of course, you know royalties are with authors, actors, musicians, playwrights, but anyone who's doing NFTs, NFT artwork, NFT crypto, NFT real estate, and also selling this trust, that's all going to be deferred. When you do go out to, this is Irma. I was a Medicare broker. I was helping people who are turning 65 years old get plans, and then doing open enrollment. If you have an Advantage plan, you can switch things around from October 7th to December 5th. I never knew this would happen until someone would call me about IRMA, income related adjustable amount. When you start on Medicare, if you make too much money, CMS, Centers for Medicare, I don't know what the S stands for, Centers for Medicare Society, let's call it, will send a letter and say that you're going to either lose some of your Part B or you might have to pay Part B depending on how much money you make. They do what's called a 2-year look back from 65 to 63 to see if you're making too much money in interest income, capital gains, dividend income, rental income, Social Security payments, pensions, wages, 401k withdrawals, and everything else. With the Spendthrift Trust, the only thing I can help you cover on this is on the left-hand column: the interest income, capital gains, dividend income, and rental income. 401ks, I can't touch those until you cash them out and take the money and put it into the trust. The majority of people right now don't realize they have traditional money and have to pay taxes on it. If you can, I've got more money in my traditional 401k. Every year, I'm lump summing $5,000, paying the taxes on it to put it in my Roth IRA so I can grow that as much as possible. Now, I do honestly believe the 6 inches between our ears is the most important real estate out there. I highly suggest, pick up a book. They say average Americans don't even read 1 book a year, which I think is pitiful. The Power of Your Subconscious Mind. I, by accident, read this book. I had taken out, I was going to reread Think and Grow Rich. I've read it several times. I had a 3-part book that had Think and Grow Rich. It had The Science of Getting Rich in it. I had read both those books. Everything shut down because of COVID, and I got bored. I read the 3rd book, The Power of Your Subconscious Mind. My Aunt Kitty, my great Aunt Kitty in Ireland, always would say, "I need to sleep on it." She'd take a cat nap and then have a decision. It really, really works. Now, to get the slide deck, again, put your email into chat. You can go out to the Trust As You, set an appointment with me. I do have a podcast that has 20 episodes. I've got 24 in the can, but 20 episodes out there. Stop Paying Capital Gains Now. You can watch it wherever you prefer to watch your podcast, on iTunes, on other places like that. It's kind of interesting. I do talk about clients and what we're doing. My clients don't want to be on the podcast. They don't want people to see their faces, but they allow me to use first names on that. So let me go ahead, stop sharing. I'm going to stop recording too, so I'll send this out. Da, 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 da.